Hello everyone. Today we will step together into the cold silence of Siberia, into a town the maps forgot, and a hospital the snow itself seems to fear. The roads here are not made for footsteps anymore. They are made for echoes, the kind that return when no one should be calling. Before we begin, I hope you can take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell if my video brings you something truly interesting. And if you're listening right now, leave a comment with your location and the time on your clock. Let's see how far apart we are and how close our shadows might be. And now, let's begin this journey together. You arrive at the edge of the forgotten town just before night falls. The sun doesn't set here, it just gives up. The sky hangs low, the color of iron, and the snow beneath your boots swallows every sound you make. You've come looking for something. Maybe a story, maybe proof, maybe closure. But as the wind brushes against your ear, like a whisper that knows your name, you realize you're not the first to come here. You might just be the last to leave. Ahead, Tom. The hospital waits us. It rises from the snow like a frozen carcass, windows shattered, roof broken, walls heavy with frost. The sign above the door still reads, Voenny Hospital number 74, though most of the letters are chipped away. Military Hospital number 74. They said it was abandoned after the war. They said the doctors left. But no one ever said they stopped working. The first door resists when you push it, as if something behind it is holding back the years. The air that escapes smells of iodine, rust, and something faintly sweet, like medicine that's been left open too long. You step inside, and the darkness greets you like an old friend. The corridor is lined with patient charts, still nailed to the wall. The paper has gone yellow, but you can still read the dates. 1944, 1945. The war was ending, but not here. Here, time didn't notice. You pick up a clipboard and read the last entry. Subject number 36. Heart rate ceased. Movement continued for 2 minutes. You laugh softly, a nervous little sound that bounces off the peeling walls. Movement continued. Maybe someone was just bad at writing reports, or maybe not. Your flashlight flickers, you tap it, it steadies, then catches on something glimmering on the floor, a metal badge, half buried in ice. You scrape it loose and wipe the frost away. It's engraved with a name you can't pronounce. Underneath it, one word in English, doctor. You slip it into your pocket. That's when you hear it. A faint whistle. It's so soft you almost think it's the wind threading through the cracks. But then it comes again, longer, clearer, like someone trying to get your attention. It comes from deeper inside the hospital. You could leave. No one would judge you. But then again, you came all this way. It would be a shame to turn back before finding out what's calling. You take another step forward, the whistle stops, your boots crunch on glass, your breath fogs the air in front of you. And for a second, it looks like the fog moves in the wrong direction toward you, not away. You shake your head, maybe it's the cold playing tricks. Siberia has a way of confusing even the strongest minds. There's an old poster on the wall. Stay clean, stay alive. Next to it, a drawing of a smiling nurse with bright eyes. You smile back, joking under your breath. I'll stay clean if you stay out of my nightmares. The building groans. Somewhere above, snow slides off the roof with a dull oomp. You wait for the sound to fade. but something else replaces it, a rhythm. Faint, but unmistakable. Tap, 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 like footsteps. Slow, measured, and not yours. You swing the flashlight toward the noise. The beam falls on a long hallway lined with doors, all half open. Each door has a small numbered plate. Ward 5, Ward 6, Ward 7. The tapping grows louder, then stops at Ward 8. The door there moves slightly, as if breathing. You whisper to yourself, if this is where the story ends, at least it'll make a good one. The door creaks as you push it open. The smell hits first disinfectant and something else. Something stale and human. The beds are still made, the sheets are stiff with frost. There's a chair overturned near the window, and beside it, a metal tray with empty syringes scattered across it. You kneel and pick one up. Inside, a single drop of frozen liquid glints like a tear. You hear the whistle again right behind you. You spin around, heart pounding, but the hallway is empty. Only your breath clouds the beam of your flashlight. And yet, you could swear someone is standing just out of sight. Anyone there you call out? Your voice echoes. Then, softly, another voice. Your exact tone repeats the same words from somewhere down the corridor. Anyone there? You freeze. For a moment, the whole hospital seems to hold its breath. Then the power surge's fluorescent lights flicker to life for half a second, revealing silhouettes, dozens of them lying in the beds, sitting by the walls, standing in corners, all facing you. Darkness falls again. You laugh quietly, half hysteria, half disbelief. All right, you murmur. Guess I'm not the only visitor tonight. You back away toward the entrance, but when you turn, the door you came through is gone. Just a wall of peeling paint. The air grows warmer, almost humid. You can smell ether, metal, blood, but the war ended decades ago. Somewhere, a radio crackles to life, playing a broken Russian lullaby. A woman's voice hums the melody, slow and haunting. You find yourself whispering along, not sure why the words feel familiar. You stop mid-sentence when you realize the radio isn't on. It's your voice singing. You step backward into something soft, a curtain. You turn, it's not a curtain, it's a white coat hanging from a hook. There's still a name tag pinned to it, the same as on the metal badge in your pocket. You take a deep breath. The air bites your lungs like frost in memory, somewhere deep within the building. The whistle calls again, longer this time. Impatient, you tighten your grip on the flashlight. All right. Doctor, you whisper. Let's see what's left of your patients. The sound fades into the dark, leading you deeper, as if the hospital itself is drawing breath, waiting for you to follow. You do, 'cause it's too late not to. The whistle returns clearer now, sharp as a needle sliding through fabric. You stand at the end of the corridor, your breath fogging the air. The beam of your flashlight trembles slightly in your hand. The sound seems to come from everywhere at once, the vents, the cracked windows, maybe even from beneath the floor. You try to convince yourself it's just the wind. Siberia is full of strange harmonies, the way the ice cracks, the way the air bends sound. But then it shifts, tone, it rises and falls, forming a rhythm, almost like someone is whistling to you. You whisper, if you're real, do it again. The answer comes instantly. 3 short whistles, too long, a pattern. You exhale. Great. Either it's Morse code, or I'm officially losing my mind. A thin laugh slips out of you, not because it's funny, but because it's the only thing keeping you from bolting through the wall. The air is so cold it bites your tongue. Still, curiosity wins. It always does. You step closer to the sound. The corridor splits in two, one hallway going left, the other descending by a half-collapsed staircase into the lower wing. The whistling shifts direction too, as if trying to lure you downward. You follow. Each step groans beneath your boots. The flashlight beam catches old murals painted on the walls, soldiers with blank faces, nurses holding roses that have long since flaked away. At the bottom, the temperature drops. Your breath turns thick and heavy. There's a faint glow ahead, not electric phosphorescent. It spills from an open doorway like liquid mist. You approach, careful not to make noise, though you can't explain why. The plaque beside the door reads, Operazione, operating room. Inside, the floor glitters with ice. Every metal instrument scalpels, clamps, needles, lies perfectly arranged on a tray, frozen mid-motion, as though the doctors had simply paused and never returned. The table in the center is still set with straps. One of them twitches slightly, as if tightened by invisible hands. You whisper, maybe it's the air expanding, maybe. The whistle comes again, right by your ear, this time a single, mocking note. You spin around. Nothing. Just the room staring back at you. Then you notice something strange on the wall, a rectangular patch, cleaner than the rest, where something used to hang. You wipe away the frost and see faint outlines of words written in Russian. Barely legible. You can only read two of them. Silence and return. Suddenly, the room hums, low, deep, mechanical. The overhead light flickers once. You glance up and see movement reflected in the metal lamp above the table. Someone standing behind you. You turn fast, empty, but your reflection in the lamp, it doesn't move the same way you do. It stays still, even as you breathe. You take a shaky step back, not funny. You whisper to no one, whoever you are. The reflection slowly tilts its head. The movement is too precise, too human. And then, quietly, it raises its hand and points toward the doorway. You swallow hard, whispering, yeah, I got the message. You hurry out, but as soon as you cross the threshold, you hear the faintest sound behind you, the straps tightening. For a moment, you consider running straight out of the hospital. But outside is the blizzard, and you'd never survive the night. Besides, something in you wants to know why that reflection pointed the way out, not deeper in. Was it warning you, or guiding you somewhere else? You decide to check the left corridor instead, the one you ignored earlier. As you walk, the floor tiles change. They're newer here. Like this part of the hospital was rebuilt later. The walls are painted a pale green, though the color looks ghostly in the beam of your flashlight. Along the way, there are faint boot prints frozen in the dust, not yours. Too small, like a child's. You kneel to look closer. They suddenly at a door labeled Ward 13. You remember seeing that number on the patient chart earlier, subject number 36. You chuckle nervously. Of course it's 13, it always is. You try the handle. It moves freely. The door opens with a sigh, as though relieved to finally breathe again. The smell hits you harder this time, rot beneath antiseptic, like old flowers over a grave. Inside, the ward is dim, lit by the weak glow of moonlight leaking through a broken window. The beds are all empty except one. On it lies a shape under a gray blanket, still as the rest of the room. You whisper, okay, if this is a raccoon, I'm moving to Hawaii. You take a step closer. The blanket shifts slightly, or maybe it's the light tricking your eyes. You reach out, hesitating only once, then pull the blanket back. The bed is empty, except for a single photograph. It shows a group of doctors in front of this very hospital. Snow falling around them, smiles frozen on their faces. You look closer and feel the blood drain from yours. In the back row, standing slightly apart, is someone who looks exactly like you. Same face, same coat, same expression. You drop the photo, it lands face down on the sheets. The whistle comes again, soft and long, right beside your ear. And this time, it carries a faint voice with it. Welcome back. Your flashlight dies. You stand in the dark, listening to your own heartbeat. Then, quietly, another heartbeat joins, imperfectly synchronized, like an echo living inside your chest. You whisper, if that's you, Doctor, I'm starting to think we've met before. Somewhere down the corridor, a bell rings once cling, and the air shifts, as though the building just exhaled. You realize something's changed. The hospital is no longer waiting for you to explore it. It's awake, and it's listening. The air tastes like dust and disinfectant. You stand still for a moment, waiting for the echo of that bell to fade. It doesn't. It lingers soft, trembling like the aftertaste of a sound that refuses to die. You raise your flashlight again, and the beam cuts through the misty corridor like a blade of pale light. The hallway ahead seems longer than before. It stretches beyond what the walls of the hospital should allow. Both sides are lined with doors, their paint peeling away in long, dry curls. Each door has a nameplate beneath its number. Patient 7, Patient 12, Patient 21. The names are smudged out, as if erased by trembling fingers. You take a deep breath. All right, you whisper. Hallway of the forgotten. Let's see what you remember. Your footsteps echo unevenly on the tiles. Every few steps, the air vibrates faintly, as though someone else's steps are trying to match yours but slightly out of sync, like a mocking rhythm. You pause, the echo pauses too. You decide to test it, you stomp once. Tap. A single delayed echo replies just half a second late. You whisper, guess I've got company. Just the polite kind that keeps its distance. The first door on your left is slightly ajar. You push it gently with your knuckle. The hinges groan. Inside, moonlight spills through a broken window and falls across the bed, where something small glints in the dust, a pair of wire-rimmed glasses. You pick them up. The glass is cracked, one lens missing. The name tag on the bed frame says, Yuri Lobanov. The same name appears faintly scratched into the wall beside the bed, repeated dozens of times. Yuri Lobanov. Yuri Lobanov. Yuri Lobanov. You lean closer, noticing that each name is carved with increasing pressure, the last few cutting deep into the plaster. You trace one of them with your finger and the wall is warm. You jerk your hand back, the warmth fades instantly. Okay, you mutter under your breath. Either physics doesn't apply here, or Yuri really wants attention. A faint creak answers you. You glance at the bed. The pillow has sunk slightly, as though someone just laid their head down. You step backward, nearly bumping into the wall behind you, and whisper softly, sleep well, Yuri. I'll let you rest. The next few rooms are empty, though each carries a strange trace of life. One has a chessboard still set mid-game, half the pieces missing. Another contains only a single chair facing the corner, and on the floor beneath it, a small puddle of melted ice. Then, you find a door with a red cross painted over it. The paint looks fresh. You hesitate, then push it open. Inside is a hallway. Within the hallway, an annex built hastily from wooden panels and covered with sheets of brittle plastic. It smells like medicine and smoke. Along one wall, a row of filing cabinets leans crookedly, their drawers half open, spilling folders onto the floor. You kneel to pick one up. The file label reads, "Non-compliant patients, relocate." You open it. Inside are pages of medical notes, each ending with the same sentence, typed in uneven ink. Patient transferred to Ward 13. Status continuing reflexes after clinical death. Your stomach tightens. You remember that number, Ward 13, the empty bed, the photo, the reflection. You close the file carefully and whisper, "All right, doctor, I get it. You were experimenting with something you shouldn't have." Another file lies open nearby. This one is labeled Project Seraph. The first page shows a photograph, black and white, blurry. A group of nurses around a patient lying on a table. No one's eyes are visible. They've all been scratched out with a pen. Below the image, someone scrawled in shaky English. We hear them whisper when they stop breathing. You freeze. A soft hiss of air brushes past your neck. You turn around slowly. The plastic sheets sway gently, as though something moved through them. The light behind you flickers. Through the transparent sheet, you see a shadow, tall, thin, slightly hunched. It tilts its head to the side, listening. You whisper, barely audible, "If you can hear me, I didn't mean to intrude." The shadow doesn't move, but the plastic begins to ripple inward, like breath being drawn toward you. You back away, trying not to make noise. The folder in your hand slips and hits the floor. The sound echoes like a thunderclap in the confined space. Instantly, the shadow straightens. You turn and run out of the annex, stumbling into the main hallway again. The door slams behind you on its own, the echo rolling down the corridor like distant artillery. For a long moment, there's silence. Then, faintly, something taps on the other side of the door. A slow, deliberate rhythm. 3 short, 2 long. The same pattern as before, the whistle's pattern. You press your hand against the door. The tapping stops. Then something taps back from your side of the wood. You pull your hand away instantly. Heart pounding. The floor beneath you trembles slightly, as if something heavy just moved below. You shine your flashlight down and notice a thin crack running along the tiles. Steam seeps from it, curling upward like smoke from a wound. You whisper, "There's a basement under here, isn't there?" The hospital answers with another creak, long, deep, and sorrowful, like the groan of a sleeping beast. You follow the crack until it leads to another door, this one, metal, sealed with frost. On it, a sign, "No entry without permission." Someone has crossed out the words and written in red ink, but you came anyway. You smile faintly despite yourself. "Yeah," you say softly. "I guess I did." The doorknob is cold enough to burn your skin, but you grip it anyway. When you turn it, something inside the lock clicks like a sigh of surrender. The door swings open, revealing a staircase spiraling down into blackness from the depths below. That whistle returns one last time, low, slow, tender, like a lullaby for the damned. You hesitate on the first step. "If you hear this, doctor," you murmur, "I hope you've still got a sense of humor." And from below, faint and amused, a whisper answers, "I never lost it." Your flashlight flickers again once, twice, then steadies. You start descending into the dark. The staircase groans under your boots as you descend. The deeper you go, the thicker the air becomes. Not just cold now, but heavy, like breathing through cloth. Your flashlight beam slices through swirls of pale vapor, illuminating flakes of frost suspended midair, frozen in time. You whisper to yourself, how far down does this place go? The echo doesn't answer this time. It just sighs, long and low. Halfway down, you notice something strange. The walls are no longer concrete. They've changed to steel, smooth and cold, riveted like the inside of a submarine. Each step clinks against metal instead of tile. A low hum vibrates through the railing, faint but constant, like a machine still running after all these years. When you reach the bottom, the space opens into a narrow corridor, lit by a single dying bulb. The light flickers every few seconds, revealing and hiding the world in rhythm flash. Dark flash. Dark like the heartbeat of a dying giant. You walk forward slowly. On the wall, a sign half covered by frost reads, "Restricted Medical Storage. B." Beneath it, an arrow points right. You follow. The corridor ends in a small room that looks like a makeshift office overturned chair. Scattered papers, a desk split in two. The air smells faintly of alcohol and rust. On the floor lies a broken lantern and a few shattered glass vials. You crouch down and notice that the desk drawer is slightly open. Inside, among a few crumbling folders, lies something metallic. A small key attached to a tag stamped with faded red letters, Dr. I. Lobanov, authorized access. You exhale slowly. So, Doctor, you left me a spare. You pick up the key. It's ice cold, yet it pulses faintly against your palm, like it remembers the warmth of the hand that used to hold it. Something shifts behind you. You turn the flashlight around. At first, nothing moves, just the swaying shadow of a curtain. But then you see it a chair that wasn't overturned before. It rocks once, then stops. "Okay," you whisper, forcing a thin smile. "I get it. You don't like me rummaging through your drawers." The silence stretches. Then, softly, a laugh echoes through the corridor. It's dry, distant, and unmistakably human. It sounds like someone trying not to wake a sleeping child. You call out quietly, "Is that you, Doctor?" The laugh stops immediately. Then, just above your ear, another voice identical to yours murmurs, "Don't talk to him." You freeze. The light bulb overhead flickers faster now, strobing the room in rapid flashes of brightness and shadow. And in each flash, for a fraction of a second, the world changes. The desk becomes new again. Papers stack themselves neatly. The smell of disinfectant replaces the rot. The next flash, chaos returns. Broken glass, blood smeared across the walls. Another flash, the doctor stands at the desk, writing something. His reflection in the broken glass looks directly at you. He mouths a word. "Return." The light dies completely. You're plunged into darkness so thick it feels alive. You take a step backward, bumping into the door frame, clutching the key tightly. The metal burns into your skin, but you don't drop it. Then you hear it faint footsteps, slow and deliberate, pacing the room around you. Not approaching, not retreating, just circling. He whispers, "If this is your way of saying hello, Doctor, it's working." The footsteps stop. The sound of paper rustling fills the air. Then something slides across the floor. A folder, stopping against your boot. You shine your flashlight down. The cover reads Experiment Phase 5, Consciousness Retention. You open it. Inside is a short handwritten note in Russian, with one English line scribbled beneath it. If the mind survives death, who does it belong to? You close the folder slowly. That's one hell of a research question. A whisper answers from somewhere behind you. We found out. You turn instantly, shining the light, nothing but walls. Yet a faint outline glimmers briefly, a silhouette leaning against the metal. You take a step closer, but it fades like breath on glass. You notice another door ahead, labeled Observation Room. The key in your hand seems to hum slightly, as if urging you forward. You fit it into the lock. It turns smoothly, too smoothly, as if it had been oiled recently. Inside, rows of hospital beds stretch out under plastic sheets. The room smells of ethanol and cold air. You move between the beds, the plastic rustling softly around you underneath one of the sheets. Something moves. You freeze. The movement stops. You reach out and lift the edge of the sheet. A recorder sits beneath it, old and dust-covered, the tape still turning. You kneel, press play. At first, static, then a voice, calm, slow, with the hint of exhaustion. This is Dr. Ivan Lobanov. Subject number 36 shows continued neural activity 17 minutes after cessation. The heart, no. The will does not stop. A pause, a cough. Then the voice lowers, almost whispering to itself. But it listens. It remembers the one who asked the question. The tape clicks off. You stay kneeling for a long time, your breath fogging the air. Somewhere behind you, the curtain flutters, though there's no breeze. You turn, expecting nothing, but in the far corner stands a metal bed frame with a small brass bell tied to its post. It sways once, cling. You whisper, "Doctor, if that's your patient calling, I think they've been waiting too long." You start toward the door. But before leaving, you glance back one last time. On the wall above the recorder, carved into the metal with surgical precision, is a phrase, each letter perfect. Deliberate return to Ward 13. You sigh softly, and of course, as you step back into the corridor, the light flickers one last time, just long enough for you to see the shadow of the doctor, standing where you had been, holding out his hand as if waiting for the key you now carry. The light dies, the air hums. You whisper into the dark, "You'll get it soon, doctor. Just tell me what you're hiding." The whistle answers from somewhere above, faint but smiling. The stairs seem longer on the way up. Every step echoes with a faint metallic ring, as though the hospital itself remembers the sound of your arrival. You clutch the key tighter in your hand, the one engraved with Dr. I. Lobanov. The metal is warm now, pulsing faintly, like it's keeping time with your heartbeat. When you reach the ground floor again, the building has changed. You can feel it. The air feels awake. The walls breathe quietly, expanding and contracting with the rhythm of distant machinery. Even the shadows seem to have their own pulse. You whisper to yourself, "All right, Ward 13, let's finish what you started." The corridor that leads there has grown darker, as if the light itself avoids that wing. The floor tiles glisten faintly, reflecting shapes that don't exist. You walk carefully, step by step, hearing faint voices behind the doors, sighs, whispers, and the slow drag of something across the floor. When you finally stand before the familiar door marked Ward 13, you notice something new. The red cross painted on it has begun to drip. The paint isn't dry anymore. You reach out, touch your finger to it. It's warm, too warm. Or you glance at the key in your hand. It fits the lock perfectly. When you turn it, the mechanism clicks softly, like a throat swallowing. The door opens without resistance. The light from your flashlight reveals a long, narrow ward. The walls shimmer faintly with frost, and the air smells faintly of ether and old roses. The beds stand in 2 rows, each covered with gray sheets. You count 7 on each side, 14 in total. But one bed is missing its blanket entirely. You step closer. The mattress bears the outline of a body, pressed deep into the surface as if someone just rose from it moments ago. On the pillow lies a single black and white photograph. You lift it slowly. It's the same photo as before, the one showing the doctors outside the hospital. But this time, something's changed. The faces are gone, blurred into pale smudges. Only one remains yours. You whisper, "That's impossible." A low sound answers from the far end of the room, a creak, like metal bending. You raise your flashlight and see one of the bed frames shaking slightly. The bell tied to its post trembles, then rings once cling. You remember it from the basement. "Who's there?" you call softly. No answer. You step forward. The beam of your flashlight catches movement, something white, slipping beneath another sheet. You approach, heart hammering. The shape under the blanket twitches, then falls still. Then you reach out, fingers trembling, and pull the sheet back. The bed is empty except for a notebook. Its cover is cracked leather. The page is yellow and fragile. The first page bears a familiar signature, Dr. Ivan Lobanov. You begin to read. Subject 36, male, unknown origin. Arrived at the facility claiming to be from the future. Shows signs of self-recognition in patient photographs. Possible psychological projection. Or something else entirely. Memory loop observed. Intervention required. You stop reading. The words blur for a moment, like your eyes can't accept what they're seeing. The entry continues. Hypothesis: the consciousness seeks its source. If the host returns, the cycle repeats. The hospital holds the echo until recognition completes. You lower the notebook slowly. The air feels thicker now. Every breath sounds too loud. You whisper, "You mean I've been here before?" The bell rings again, clinging. You turn sharply. One of the beds at the far end of the room is moving. The sheet bulges upward, then settles. A voice drifts from beneath it, calm, steady, almost kind. "You came back, didn't you?" You step closer. "Who are you?" The sheet shifts slightly, revealing the outline of a face beneath. You already know. You've always known. You grip the flashlight tighter, whispering, "Dr. Lobanov." A soft chuckle answers. Names don't matter when you've shared a body. The sheet deflates suddenly, collapsing flat. You pull it away, nothing beneath it but dust. Your flashlight flickers. When it steadies again, the room has changed. The beds are new. The lights are bright. Nurses walk calmly between patients, their faces serene but blurred. A radio plays softly in the corner, a cheerful Soviet tune. You stand there, unseen, watching the living memory unfold. A doctor enters, tall, thin, wearing a white coat. His name tag glints in the light. Lobanov. He walks to the empty bed, the one that bears your outline, and writes something in his notebook. You lean closer, trying to read. Then he looks up directly at you. You freeze. His eyes are gray, distant, but aware. He speaks without moving his lips. You never left. The world flickers once, twice, and the scene dissolves. The nurses vanish. The light dims. You're alone again. Only the beds remain, covered once more in frost. You whisper, if I never left, then what am I? A whisper comes from the notebook in your hand, the words forming themselves across the paper as you watch the continuation of the question. You back away slowly. The bell rings again, faster this time, as if urging you to understand something. You drop the notebook and turn toward the door, but the way out is gone, replaced by a solid wall of frozen plaster. You pound your hand against it once. The sound echoes hollow, like hitting a coffin. Behind you, the bell rings one final time, long and mournful, then silence. The temperature drops suddenly. You can see your breath crystallize in the air. You whisper, trembling, "Doctor, what did you do here?" From the darkness, the answer comes faint, almost tender. "I kept them alive in memory." Your flashlight flickers out. Somewhere in the dark, footsteps approach, slow and patient, like someone walking toward a bed to check on their last patient. And this time, you know they're coming for you. The footsteps stop just behind you. The silence stretches, thick as the frozen air. You can hear your own heartbeat in your ears, uneven, desperate. You don't turn around, not yet. You tell yourself that whatever is standing there, if you don't acknowledge it, it might stay quiet. But then you hear it a whisper. It isn't one voice, it's dozens, layered, weak, some male, some female, some barely human. They breathe the same words over and over, blending into a trembling murmur. "Still waiting? Still here?" You turn slowly. The beam of your flashlight cuts across the room. Nothing there, only empty beds and pale walls, flickering faintly with condensation. Yet, for a second, you see them faint outlines of figures lying on every bed, each covered in frost, eyes open, watching. You blink, they're gone. He whispers, "If this is a dream, please don't tell me when it ends." A dry, shallow laugh floats from the far corner. You swing the flashlight toward it and see movement beneath one of the sheets. It shifts slowly, as if someone beneath it is breathing. You step closer. The air grows colder with each step, biting through your coat. "Hey," you say softly, trying to sound calm. "Are you alive?" The sheet trembles once, then, faintly, a voice thin and broken answers, "No." You freeze. "Then, what are you?" The reply comes like a sigh through the sheet. "I was a patient. Now I'm only a whisper." The shape beneath the blanket rises slightly, as though sitting up. The sound of cloth stretching fills the air. You step backward instinctively. The flashlight flickers, and when it steadies again, the figure is gone. Only the pillow remains sunken, damp with melted frost. You mutter, half to yourself, "I didn't sign up for interactive patience." A faint chuckle answers, and it sounds closer now, maybe a few feet behind you. You turn, nothing. Then something brushes your sleeve, a cold, weightless touch. You flinch, dropping the flashlight. It clatters to the floor, the beam spinning wildly across the ceiling, revealing words scrawled across the plaster in frost. "They never let us leave." You crouch to grab the flashlight and whisper, "Who didn't let you leave?" Silence, then, barely audible, "He did." "Who's he?" you ask. The answer comes from everywhere at once, dozens of voices overlapping. "The doctor?" You tighten your grip on the flashlight, scanning the room. Each bed now has a faint imprint, as if someone just lay down. The air feels thick, heavy with invisible presence. You whisper, "Dr. Lobanov." No answer, just the rhythmic sound of something tapping, tap, tap, tap. It's coming from one of the tables against the wall. You approach slowly. On the tabletop lies an old stethoscope. Its tubing is cracked, its earpiece is yellowed. Yet, it moves gently, rocking back and forth on its own, tapping the metal base against the table in time with your heartbeat. You whisper, and that's not creepy at all. You pick it up. The metal is ice cold, but the moment you press it to your ear, the world shifts. The room fades. Now, you're standing in the same ward but alive again. Bright lights hum above you. Nurses moving swiftly between beds. The smell of ether and blood fills the air. A doctor's voice calls out, calm and focused. Prepare injection for subject 36. You turn, the doctor's back is to you. His voice, it sounds like yours. You whisper, wait. The stethoscope crackles softly. A voice slips through, as though whispering directly into your mind. Do you hear them too? They never stopped calling. The scene fades, the light collapsing back into darkness. You drop the stethoscope, breathing hard. It clinks once, then lies still. Okay, you whisper shakily, so that's how the ghosts do checkups here. You glance down and realize the frost beneath your boots has melted. A small puddle spreads outward from where you stand, reflecting your face, except the reflection isn't matching you, it's moving its lips. You kneel closer. The reflection speaks in silence, but you can read the words. Don't forget me. Then, without warning, the puddle freezes solid again. You rise slowly, scanning the room. The whispers have stopped. Everything is still. Then, faintly, one last voice speaks softer, clearer than the rest. You have his key. You can open what he couldn't close. You whisper, what do you mean? No reply, only the bell from the far end of the hall, a single sharp cling. You walk toward it, following the faint echo through the corridor until it leads you to another door, smaller, wooden, half buried in frost. A plaque reads, Therapy Room, Restricted. You press your ear to it, nothing. Then a faint heartbeat, slow, steady, human. You whisper, there's someone in there. The door handle is frozen stiff, but the key in your pocket burns warm, pulsing faintly. You hold it up. It hums, faintly glowing as frost melts away from the lock. The mechanism clicks softly. Mechanism clicks. You hesitate, hand trembling on the handle. If I open this, you whisper, I want someone to promise they'll still be listening. A faint murmur replies, dozens of whispers blending into one word. We're listening. You open the door. A rush of warm air escapes, thick, sweet, like a sigh from something that's been waiting too long. And from within the darkness, a patient's voice, calm, trembling, says your name. Exactly your name. You freeze at the sound of your own name coming from the dark. The voice is quiet, fragile, as though it's speaking through glass or from under ice. Don't be afraid, it says, you've already been here. You lift the flashlight, its trembling beam revealing a small room, coated entirely in frost. Tables, cabinets, surgical trays, all preserved in a sheet of frozen mist. The walls glimmer faintly like crystal. Every breath you take fogs instantly, hanging in the air like ghosts refusing to leave. At the far end stands an autopsy table. Its surface is coated in ice, but beneath it you can see something dark, frozen inside the outline of a human body. You whisper, please tell me that's just a mannequin. The silence disagrees. You step forward, boots crunching on the frozen floor. Each step echoes like a heartbeat through the metal walls. Your flashlight flickers, catching the glint of surgical tools scattered nearby scalpels, bone saws, and something stranger, a set of fine needles attached to copper wires, leading to a machine that hums faintly even now. You trace the wires with your eyes until they disappear beneath the ice near the body. Someone or something is still connected. You whisper, "Doctor, what did you do here?" The lights overhead flicker once, twice. Then the old speaker mounted on the wall crackles to life. At first, static. Then, the same voice from the recorder downstairs, Dr. Ivan Lobanov. Calm, detached. Procedure 74B. Subject displays residual electrical activity after termination. Observation continues. No response to auditory or tactile stimulus. Yet, eye movement observed at 21:13. You check your watch instinctively. It reads 21:13. You glance up. The frozen figure on the table twitches, barely perceptible, but enough to send your pulse racing. You whisper, "No, no, no, no." The speaker continues. Hypothesis confirmed consciousness persists beyond biological death. Subject may observe us. The lights die. In the blackness, a faint cracking sound fills the room. Ice splitting, shifting. Something moves on the table. A long, slow breath seeps from beneath the frost, like air escaping a sealed tomb. You shine the flashlight. The ice covering the body has begun to melt in long, branching veins. The outline becomes clearer, a man in a doctor's coat. His face half covered in frost, his eyes closed. His hands lie folded over his chest, but the fingertips twitch slightly, as if trying to remember touch. You whisper, "Dr. Lobanov." His eyes open. They are gray, calm, and terribly awake. You stumble backward, colliding with a tray. Metal clatters to the floor, breaking the silence. The doctor's gaze follows you, unblinking. His lips move slightly. You can't hear the words, so you lean closer, against your better judgment. The whisper comes faint and slow. "You shouldn't have come back." You whisper back, "Neither should you." A cold breath escapes his mouth, and in that breath, you hear it hundreds of whispers overlapping, forming a single word: return. The machines flicker to life, dials spinning, the faint hum building to a low vibration through the floor. You see arcs of pale light crawling along the copper wires like veins of lightning under ice. The doctor's hand shifts, one finger pointing toward the corner of the room. You turn your flashlight that way. There's another table smaller, lower, and on it, a second shape beneath a sheet of glassy ice. You step closer. Inside the frozen layer is a face, pale, familiar. "Yours?" You whisper, "That's not possible." The reflection beneath the ice opens its eyes. You stumble backward, nearly slipping. The hum grows louder, like the building itself is waking up. The doctor's voice echoes from the speaker again, clearer this time, but distorted, two voices speaking over each other, one his, one yours. The subject's awareness overlaps with the observer. The soul cannot be cloned. It returns to the origin. You grip the edge of the table, your breath trembling. You're saying, "I'm what? The experiment?" The voice answers, while both of you speaking in unison now. The continuation, the echo? The ice on the second table cracks loudly. A shard falls, hitting the floor with a sound like breaking glass. Underneath, the other you moves slowly, mechanically, like someone waking from a long sleep. You whispered, stop this." The lights flare to life, blinding white. The air howls. The machines scream. The needles vibrating violently. Sparks bursting across the cables. You grab the key from your pocket, holding it up as if it means something: protection, power, anything. And it works. The humming stops. The lights die again. Silence falls like snow. When your eyes adjust, the tables are empty, the machines are still. Only one thing remains on the floor, a medical tag, half frozen in a puddle. You pick it up. It reads Subject 36, status recovered. You whisper, recovered. A faint laugh echoes through the speakers. Recovered doesn't mean cured. You back away slowly, your breath fogging the air. The door behind you swings open by itself, hinges creaking softly. From beyond, you hear faint footsteps, but lighter this time, almost playful. You whisper, forcing a thin smile. If that's my better half, tell him I'm not ready for visiting hours. The voice answers from everywhere at once, soft, cold, amused. He never left. The door slams shut. Darkness swallows everything. And under it all, a soft, rhythmic sound begins, a slow scraping, like fingernails tracing along the underside of the metal table. Scrape, scrape, scrape. You whisper into the dark. Please tell me that's the wind. It isn't. The scraping stops. Silence again. Not the comforting kind, but the kind that watches you, waits for you to breathe, then imitates the sound. You slowly raise the flashlight, its beam slicing through the frost-filled air. The reflection on the autopsy table is gone. So is the puddle. Only long, wet streaks drag across the floor, toward the far wall marks, like something crawled away, dragging its weight through slush. You whisper, if that was me, I really need to work on my posture. A faint sound answers laughter, but stitched together from several tones, mismatched and uneven. It's coming from behind the wall. You walk toward it, careful not to slip on the wet metal. There's a crack in the wall, thin as a surgical incision. Through it leaks a soft light, flickering, warm and sickly yellow. You press your ear to it. You hear humming a lullaby, slow and low, the same one you heard from the broken radio upstairs. You whisper, who's singing that? The wall answers. The crack widens with a long, wet rip, like cloth tearing. Something moves in the opening pale fingers, sewn together by black thread, searching for the edges. You stumble back. The wall splits wider, revealing a shadow that isn't attached to any body tall, crooked, stitched in uneven lines, like someone tried to sew a human shape back together after cutting it apart. Its head jerks slightly as it straightens. The stitches across its neck strain and quiver, and when it breathes, the seams whistle faintly. You raise the flashlight. I'm going to assume you're not here for visiting hours. The stitched shadow tilts its head, the movement painfully slow. When it speaks, the voice leaks through its seams, fragmented and hollow. He sewed us to keep us. You whisper, who did? The doctor, he said shadows should not wander. It steps forward. The floor groans under its weight, even though it shouldn't weigh anything. The stitches across its chest glow faintly red, pulsing with every word. We were supposed to stay quiet, but you brought sound. It lifts one hand, the fingers trembling as black thread unwinds from its palm, reaching toward you like veins, searching for new flesh. You back up, nearly tripping over a tray. Hey, I can be quiet. I can be really quiet. The shadow pauses. The threads stop moving. It lowers its head slightly, as if listening. Then it whispers, too late, he heard you. From somewhere above, deep in the vents, the whistle begins again, slow, rising, filled with impatience. The shadow looks toward the ceiling, then back at you. He's coming. Before you can move, the lights flicker violently. The shadow lunges, but instead of attacking, it passes through you. You feel an icy pressure against your chest, like someone pushing through your ribs and pushing for a heartbeat. You see flashes of memory that aren't yours. A surgery room lit in white. Screaming patients. The doctor's voice muttering equations instead of prayers. You see hands sewing darkness into flesh, trapping voices inside. Then it's gone. You collapse to one knee, gasping. The world spinning around you. The shadow is gone. Only the black thread remains, coiled on the floor like a dead serpent. You pick it up, it's warm, still pulsing. You whisper, "What are you?" The thread twitches in your hand. It traces letters across your palm in jerky, uneven movements, key. You look down at the brass key hanging around your neck, the doctor's key. Both the thread and the metal pulse together, synchronizing like two hearts learning each other's rhythm. A mechanical hiss breaks the silence. The wall slides open, revealing a narrow tunnel lined with old lamps and surgical curtains. At the end of it, a faint red glow pulses heartbeat steady. You step forward, following the glow. The tunnel curves downward, leading to another chamber. The smell of disinfectant returns, strong enough to burn. The chamber is circular, surrounded by mirrors. In each reflection, you see yourself, but each version of you is different. One smiling, one screaming, one standing perfectly still. At the center of the room, a single operating table waits under a red lamp. On it lies a shape covered by a white sheet stitched tight. You whisper, "Don't be me again, please." You pull the sheet back. It's not you. It's the stitched shadow, or what's left of it. The seams have been carefully cut open. The threads laid neatly beside it like offerings. Beneath its skin, the body is hollow empty, like a costume waiting for someone to step inside. The wall speaker crackles to life. Dr. Lobanov's voice, faint but clear. The vessel is ready, the host returns. You drop the flashlight, it rolls across the floor, its beam bouncing from mirror to mirror, multiplying into endless reflections. Each reflection of you now smiles faintly. "Welcome home," they whisper together. You back toward the door. But the tunnel behind you is gone. Only mirrors remain. You reach out, the glass is soft, rippling like water. One reflection steps forward from the other side. Identical, except its eyes are stitched shut. It whispers, "You opened what was meant to stay closed." Then, slowly, it lifts a needle threaded with the same black cord you found. You whisper, "No, you're not sewing me into this." The reflection smiles. You already are. The mirrors flicker once, then. Every reflection moves at once, reaching forward. Dozens of hands, pressing against the glass. The red light throbs faster. And somewhere behind you, the whistle shrieks long and furious. You cover your ears, the light bursts. Darkness, silence. When your vision clears, the room is empty. The mirrors are cracked. The stitched thread is gone. Only one thing remains, written across the table in dried, dark ink. "He's almost awake." You whisper, "Then I should start running." But the hallway behind you hums softly, alive again. The sound of footsteps begins, matching your heartbeat exactly. You run, and the hospital laughs. You don't remember running. You only remember escaping from that red-lit chamber, from the mirrors, from the stitched smile that wasn't yours. When the world finally stops spinning, you find yourself back in another corridor, narrow, sterile, lined with filing cabinets that stretch into the dark like gravestones. The plaque above the door reads Research Archive, Experimental Records. You whisper, "So this is where the answers hide." You reach for the nearest drawer. It resists at first, then slides open with a groan, sending up a puff of frozen dust. Inside lie folders wrapped in plastic. The labels are written in Russian, stamped with black ink. Series A, vitality persistence. Series B, neural retention. Series C, subject migration. Your hand trembles as you pull one free. The cover reads, Project Seraph, Phase 4. You flip it open carefully. Inside are typewritten reports, mixed with handwritten notes, sketches of skulls, brainwave graphs, cross-sections of something that definitely isn't human. Halfway down the page, a paragraph written in English catches your eye. Subject displays self-recognition within the host body. Memory fragmentation persists, but stabilizes with repetitive environmental stimuli. Recommend continued observation inside facility perimeter. You whisper, environmental stimuli. You mean me walking these halls? A faint shuffle answers behind you. You turn, the cabinets tremble slightly, one drawer sliding open by itself. A second file floats free, paper rustling in the still air. Landing at your feet, on the front observer log. You crouch down, pick it up, and begin to read. Observer notes, audio contamination confirmed, subject 36. Repeats phrases spoken by the observer within 0.3 seconds. Reflection response verified. Echo stable. You stop reading, the words feel too specific. Observer, that's you. Subject 36, that's also you. The drawer slams shut. The sound echoes down the corridor like a gunshot. All at once, every filing cabinet begins to shake violently, drawers rattling open and closed as if hundreds of invisible hands are clawing at the contents inside. You back away, heart pounding. Okay, I get it, private files. The shaking stops. Only one drawer remains open, the one furthest down the hall. Inside, something glints, a reel-to-reel recorder, old and dusty, still plugged into the wall. You approach slowly, the floor groaning beneath your boots. The machine clicks on by itself, the reels spinning sluggishly. A man's voice filters through the static, calm, precise. Dr. Lobanov. Day 112. The subjects respond to auditory recall. They repeat what is spoken to them, even without mouths. I believe the sound resonates through memory rather than air. You whisper, sound through memory? The tape continues. The consciousness is elastic. When stretched too far, it tears, but pieces remain attached to the previous vessel. They follow the voice of the last observer. They listen. You lower your head, realization creeping in like frost. The whispers, the echoes, every time you spoke. The walls answered, not ghosts. Residual consciousness. Wait, the doctor's experiments, fragments of awareness that cling to sound itself. Like, the reel clicks again. The doctor's tone changes softer, tired. If you hear this, you are part of it. You came to finish what I began. But remember, we built this place to contain ourselves. Do not try to free what cannot rest. You whisper, what did you trap here? The tape stops. Silence. Then, faintly, another sound breathing. Not yours. From inside the recorder, you lean closer, cautious. Hello? The reel turns backward, the tape rewinding fast, the machine whirring louder and louder. You reach to stop it, but the reels suddenly jam. The machine hums, straining until smoke curls from the top. Then, with a soft click, it spits out a small metal tag, a dog tag engraved with the same code you've seen before, subject 36. You pick it up, whispering, always the same number. The fluorescent lights above flicker once, and in the reflection of the metal tag, you see movement, a shadow passing behind you. You spin around. Nothing there. Only the rows of cabinets. But the drawers are slowly sliding open one by one, revealing photographs. Thousands of them. Patients, doctors, nurses, soldiers. Each photo has the same faint silhouette lurking behind the subjects. Tall, thin, face indistinct. The stitched shadow. You whisper, "He's in every picture." A voice behind you answers your voice. "He's in yours too." You turn sharply, the corridor is empty. But the last cabinet drawer at the end of the hall now hangs open. Inside, there's a single photo. You lift it. It's a picture of this exact moment, you standing here, holding a photograph. And behind you, barely visible, something stitched leans close, its threadbare fingers reaching for your shoulder. You drop the photo. It lands face down on the floor. A single drop of something dark seeps through the paper, not ink, blood. The hospital hums again, machinery reawakening beneath the floor. The loudspeakers crackle. Observation resumed. Subject 36 shows awareness of prior iterations. You whisper on prior iterations? The voice on the intercom continues. Proceed to containment hall, final phase required. You stare down the corridor. The lights overhead blink one by one, forming a path deeper into the archive. You take a deep breath. All right, doctor, this is your experiment. Let's finish it. You pocket the dog tag, tighten your grip on the flashlight, and start walking. Behind you, faint laughter follows mechanical, looping, broken between static. He listens, he listens, he listens. The last light ahead flickers, revealing a steel door at the end of the hall, heavy, sealed, marked with a new sign, Containment Hall, authorized personnel only. Beneath the printed text, someone has scratched 3 words by hand. Do not remember. You rest your hand against the cold metal. It vibrates faintly, a pulse that matches your own. You whisper, "Too late for that." And you turn the handle. The steel door swings inward with a hiss of stale air. Beyond it lies a long, rectangular ward, empty, except for a single bed in the middle. The walls are white ones, now gray with age, streaked with moisture and dust. The air feels wrong, too warm, as though the room itself remembers breathing. Above the bed hangs a single brass bell, tied to the frame with a piece of frayed string. You recognize it instantly. That soft, delicate cling has followed you through every corridor, like the punctuation mark of this nightmare. You whisper, "So this is where you sleep." The bell sways slightly, no wind, no movement, just the air itself trembling. You step closer. The mattress dips slightly, as if adjusting for your weight before you even touch it. On the sheet, an imprint of a body remains. Perfectly preserved shoulders, head, arms as though the person lying there had just disappeared, leaving only the memory of pressure. You whisper, "Doctor." A faint ringing answer, soft and fragile. "Clean." You freeze. Then slowly, the bell rings again, but this time, it matches your heartbeat. Faster, faster, until it becomes a nervous flutter of metallic sound. The walls respond. Each vibration sends a pulse through the room. Soft waves that ripple through the paint, through the floor, through your bones. It feels alive. You whisper, "What do you want me to see?" The ceiling light flickers once, then stabilizes. A faint glow spreads along the wall to your left, revealing dozens of photographs pinned there. All identical, the same hospital bed, the same bell, the same imprint on the mattress. But in each photo, the angle shifts slightly, closer and closer, until the last one shows only the pillow. And written across it in black ink, "Wake up." You take a step back. Oh. The bell rings sharply, clings. The sound lances through your skull. You drop the flashlight, clutching your ears. The ringing doesn't stop, it grows, splitting into harmonics, each tone carrying a different whisper beneath it. You can almost make out words. He left us here, he promised it would stop, he lied. You stumble backward, tripping over a cable stretched across the floor. You fall hard. The light flashes once more, and in that split second, you see it's someone sitting upright on the bed. You blink, gone, but the bell still moves, swaying gently like someone invisible just sat down. You whisper, "I'm not here to hurt you." The whisper answers, low and uncertain, "Neither am I." The voice sounds exactly like yours. You reach for the flashlight, raising the beam. The imprint on the bed is gone. The sheet is smooth again, but the bell keeps moving, faster now. Wild. Cling, cling, cling. "Stop," you shout. It does instantly. The silence that follows is unbearable. Then, a deep, slow creak. The bed frame shifts, and you see it, a single handprint forming on the metal bar, as if pressed from the inside out. The fingers drag slowly across the surface, leaving faint trails of frost. You whisper to you, "What are you trying to tell me?" A voice from everywhere and nowhere replies, "You're the one who rang it." Your chest tightens. What does that mean? You died here? You laugh softly, more disbelief than humor. "No, I didn't. I walked in." You walked in because you heard the bell. The words wrap around you like a thread pulling tight. Memories flicker, the first whistle outside the hospital, the reflection that moved on its own, the way the doors kept closing behind you, each one like a loop in a rope, pulling you tighter into the story. The bell rings again, softly this time, almost tender. Cling! A soft rustling fills the room, the sound of fabric shifting. You look up. The beds along both walls, which had been empty seconds ago, now hold figures under their sheets. Each one breathes in unison, and breathes. You whisper, "No, no, no." The bell rings again, and every figure exhales together a long, slow sigh that chills the air. The sound flows toward you, wrapping around your body like mist, and in that cold breath, you hear them whisper, hundreds of voices speaking through one breath. "You were supposed to rest." You back away, heart hammering. "I'm not one of you." The bell rings louder, defiant. The air vibrates violently. The floor trembles. You cover your ears, but this time, the ringing doesn't hurt. It calms you. Your heartbeat slows. The tension drains away, Timon. A strange warmth spreads through your chest. You lower your hands, dizzy, and there, standing beside the bed, is the doctor, or what's left of him. His coat hangs loosely over a frame too thin to be alive. His face is shadow, his eyes silver pinpoints in the dark. He lifts a finger to his lips. "Shh." You whisper, trembling, "Why am I here?" He tilts his head. You rang the bell." He steps closer, voice gentle, almost kind. "You wanted to wake up, but waking up means remembering." You shake your head. "I don't remember anything." The doctor leans closer until his breath fogs your cheek. "Then listen." The bell rings one final time, long, slow, echoing. You close your eyes. The sound fills your head, not as noise, but as memory. A hospital room. A voice calling your name. A flash of light. Your own reflection whispering, "Don't forget me." Then silence. When you open your eyes again, the doctor is gone. The beds are empty. Only the bell remains, swinging gently above the frame, catching the light of your flashlight as it flickers weakly on the floor. You whisper, "Who am I?" The bell stops mid-swing. Then, faintly, the metal vibrates just enough to form a single sound, a whisper within the ring. Subject 36. And the string holding the bell snaps. It falls, hits the metal bed frame, and the sound it makes doesn't fade. It expands outward, through the hospital, through the walls, through you. Everything shakes. The sound becomes light. The light becomes memory. And you remember when the ringing finally fades, the air feels hollow, as if the world has been emptied of sound. You stand still, holding your breath, waiting for something to move anything. But the silence itself is alive, pressing against your skin, listening. Then, faintly, through the stillness, you hear it, the soft click of heels on tile. Slow, deliberate. You whisper, "Doctor." No answer. The steps continue steady, graceful, patient, moving closer through the corridor outside. You step toward the door, careful not to make a sound. When you look out, the hallway is bathed in pale light, like moonlight filtered through fog. At the far end, a woman stands. Her uniform is old, the crisp white of a nurse's outfit from another century. Her shoes are polished, her posture perfect. But her face is wrong. Her eyes are bandaged with layers of yellowed gauze. Still, she moves with certainty, as if she sees through every wall. You whisper, "Miss." She tilts her head toward your voice, smiling faintly. "You're late for rounds." Her tone is polite, professional, but beneath it, there's something mechanical, words too even, pauses too perfect. You step closer. "I'm not a patient." The smile widens just enough to make you uneasy. Everyone says that. She turns slowly, beckoning you with one gloved hand. "Come. The doctor is waiting." You hesitate. "Where?" She gestures down the hall toward a dark stairwell, the same direction you came from the basement. You whisper, "No offense, but I've had enough of his hospitality." The nurse tilts her head again. He doesn't like it when patients disobey. Her voice is softened, but something beneath the words ripples a subtle distortion, like multiple tones trying to form one sentence. You take a slow step back. "I think I'll find my own way out." She takes a step forward. Her shoes click perfectly in sync with your heartbeat. Another step and her bandaged face lifts slightly, sniffing the air, like she can smell your fear. "You're afraid of the dark," she whispers. "That's where he keeps you." The light in the corridor flickers. For an instant, the bandages over her eyes shift, and beneath them, you see faint movement. Not eyes, just black hollows, swirling faintly with silver dust, like smoke in water. You whisper, "What are you?" She pauses, as if considering the question, then says simply, "The nurse who stayed too long." Her smile fades. "Oh, they said I was blind, but I see everything that shouldn't exist." You whispered, "What do you see now?" Her head turns slightly toward you, and her voice lowers to a whisper. "You." Then she reaches out. You stumble backward, slamming against the wall. Her hand stretches toward you, impossibly far, the fingers thin and jointed like surgical instruments. The glove splits, revealing threads of silver muscle coiling and tightening. "Don't struggle," she says softly. "He needs you whole." You shout, "Stay back!" The sound echoes violently through the hall, and for a moment, it hurts her. The nurse flinches, clutching her head. Her voice breaks into 2, 3 layers at once, a chorus of the same phrase. "Too loud, too loud, too loud." The fluorescent lights explode, showering sparks. The hallway plunges into darkness. You hear her footsteps retreating fast, unsteady, and then silence again. You breathe out shakily. Okay, I guess loud works. You raise the flashlight again, sweeping the beam through the dark. The hall is empty, but something glints on the floor where she stood. You approach cautiously. A small silver object lies among shards of glass, an old nurse's pin, engraved with a name barely visible under the dust. Coraleva. You whisper, "You were real." Behind you, a soft voice answers her voice. "Was." You spin around, but the hallway is empty. Only her whisper lingers, disembodied. He took my eyes so I could see him clearly. You step backward, heart pounding. Who? Team. The doctor. No, the patient. The flashlight flickers again. For a heartbeat. You see her standing behind you in the reflection of a broken window, head tilted, smiling faintly. The bandages flutter as if breathing. You turn, nothing there, but the air behind you is warm, like someone just exhaled. You whisper, "Why are you showing me this?" Her voice sighs through the corridor, almost kind, "Because you're next." The door at the end of the hall creaks open. Faint light spills out amber and soft, like candlelight. You can hear the low hum of machines again, the steady rhythm of a heartbeat monitor. The nurse's whisper drifts toward it. "He's ready for you now." You whisper, "If I go in there, what happens?" "You'll remember." Your fingers tighten around the key in your pocket. It pulses faintly, the same rhythm as the heartbeat in the next room. You take a deep breath, then I guess I have to. You step toward the light. As you pass the place where the nurse once stood, something brushes your hand, soft fabric, a gloved touch. A small object slips into your palm. You open it, a folded note, yellowed and fragile. On it, written in thin black ink. When he asks, "Do not answer your name," you whisper, "Why not?" But the hallway is silent again. You tuck the note into your pocket, glance once more toward the empty corridor, and push open the door. Inside, the hum of machines greets you like a heartbeat made of wires. And somewhere, faintly, beneath the sound of the monitors, a bell rings again, distant, muffled, almost gentle. The room beyond the door feels colder than any place you've been. The air itself seems to hold weight, like stepping into the lungs of something enormous and sleeping. Frost crawls across the ceiling, glittering faintly in the weak light from your flashlight. The label on the wall reads Morgue Level 2. You whisper, "Why does it always lead down?" Your voice echoes softly, bouncing off metal drawers lined along the walls, body compartments, numbered 1 through 24. Some hang slightly open, revealing flashes of white cloth beneath. Others are sealed tight, crusted over with frost. The floor creaks beneath your boots. Somewhere in the distance, a slow drip breaks the silence. Steady, patient, rhythmic. You whisper, "Hello." No answer. Only the hum of the old refrigeration unit, faint but alive, like a dying heartbeat that refuses to stop. You move toward the nearest drawer, marked number 07. The handle is frozen solid. You tap it once with your flashlight. The metal vibrates slightly, letting out a hollow ring. Behind you, something echoes the same sound, clang as if mocking you. You turn quickly. The opposite drawer, number 19, is open now. A puff of icy air slips out, curling upward in a thin white veil. Inside lies a body wrapped tightly in a gray sheet. A tag dangles from the toe. Subject 36. Your name? You whisper, "No, not again." The sheet stirs faintly. You step back, nearly tripping over a coiled cable on the floor. The body shifts, slow, deliberate like something turning over in its sleep. The tag flutters, the ink smearing slightly as frost melts away. You force yourself closer. The flashlight trembles in your hand as you lean forward, whispering, "If you're me, then who's holding the light?" The body twitches. The sheet slips from the face. You see it for an instant: gray skin, lips half-parted, eyes open but frozen solid. And in the glass of those eyes, you see your reflection staring back. You stumble backward, dropping the flashlight. It clatters to the floor, spinning wildly. The beam bounces off the metal walls. Lighting flashes of movement, drawers shaking, lids rattling, sheets rising like slow breaths. You whisper, "Wake up, wake up, wake up." The temperature drops sharply. Your breath comes out as thick mist. A faint whisper seeps through the vents. A woman's voice, calm, measured, too familiar. "You opened what was sealed?" You whisper, "See, Nurse Korolova." The whisper continues. "He told me to keep them quiet, but I couldn't. They hum in their sleep." A low mechanical thump shakes the room, the hum of compressors deepening into a growl. Frost fractures along the walls. The drawers slide open one by one. Sheets tremble. You whisper, "What did he keep down here?" Memory, names, faces, you. You look around. Every tag on the drawers now reads Subject 36. No, you whisper, "That's not possible." The drawers rattle violently. The sound like 100 fists pounding from the inside. You cover your ears. The sound grows sharper, metal scraping metal. Voices layering beneath it, rising into a chorus of distorted murmurs. "We remember you. You left us cold. You came back to finish it." The lights flicker. The sheet on the center table lifts slowly, though no one touches it. Beneath it, you see not one body but many faces stitched together, forming a single shape, all whispering through the same mouth. You stumble backward, whispering, "Stop, please." The voices merge into one, echoing through the freezing air. "He made us from echoes. He made us from you." The sheet collapses suddenly, empty again. The air stills. You pick up the flashlight, the beam shaking as you move toward the back wall. There's another door there, half buried in ice. With a small red light flickering above it, a brass plate reads "Cryo Storage." You press your ear to the door. A slow, rhythmic knocking comes from the other side. Not random, deliberate. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. You whisper, the whistle's pattern. You slide the key into the lock. The mechanism resists at first, then clicks open. A gust of air bursts out colder than anything you've felt, sharp enough to sting your skin. Inside, mist swirls around rows of tall glass tubes. Each one glows faintly blue, filled with liquid that ripples gently, as if stirred by invisible hands. Within each tube a shape, human, motionless, preserved. You approach one. A man's face floats behind the frost. His eyes are closed, but the mouth moves slightly, forming silent words. You wipe the glass with your sleeve. The lips shape a single word. "Return." You step back. The other tubes begin to glow brighter. Inside them, dozens of preserved bodies twitch, fingers pressing against glass, heads turning, eyes opening one by one. The monitors along the wall flicker to life, showing heart rates all matching the same rhythm as yours. The intercom crackles. The doctor's voice returns, calm and clear. "Observation complete. The subject has reached recognition threshold." You shout, "What does that mean?" "It means they remember who they are." The tubes begin to vibrate. Cracks form in the glass. Fluid spills onto the floor, spreading like veins of blue light. The figures inside press harder, eyes fixed on you. You stumble toward the exit, but the door slides shut with a hiss. You bang on it with your fist. Open. The doctor's voice lowers, almost tender. They don't want you to leave. They've been waiting too long to be forgotten again. The first two bursts, freezing mist floods the room. A hand white, trembling, and perfectly human reaches out, followed by a face that looks exactly like yours. It whispers your name, then smiles. The glass shatters. A storm of frost and mist swallows the room. And in the chaos, the sound that rises isn't human, it's a scream that doesn't end. You cover your ears, Mum, stumble backward and fall against the steel counter. The scream seems to have a direction it doesn't echo. It moves. It twists around you, spiraling through the mist like something alive. When the air clears, the lights flicker back to life in fragments, revealing the devastation, broken cryotubes, leaking a thick, luminescent fluid across the floor. Steaming as it spreads. Floating in the haze are faces, some intact, others fractured like reflections in water. All of them are looking at you. You whisper, voice shaking, "You're not real, you're just memory." A whisper answers hundreds of voices in unison, merging into one ragged breath. "You were memory. You made us flesh." You stumble toward the door, but it's sealed again, locked by frost. Behind you, the scream begins anew. But this time, it's not from the mist. It's from behind the thick plastic curtain at the back of the room. You whisper, "No." The curtain moves slowly, like someone breathing beneath it. The shape behind it trembles. Once, twice, and then falls still. The scream stops. You raise your flashlight. The beam catches movement, fingers pressing against the inside of the plastic from the other side. Long, trembling fingers. You whisper, "Who's there?" A faint voice answers, muffled through the curtain, "Don't look." You hesitate. Why? The voice trembles. "Random is fragile but clear because it remembers you." The plastic shifts again, this time closer. The outline of a face presses into it from the inside, flattening slightly against the film. The mouth moves. The sound of breath hisses through the plastic, hot and sharp, carrying a word you wish you didn't understand. "Wake!" You step backward. No, not again. The face behind the curtain stretches wider, as if screaming, but no sound comes. Instead, every light in the morgue explodes at once. The curtain rips down the middle, revealing the figure behind it, something that looks like you but isn't. Its skin is pale, almost translucent, veins glowing faintly blue beneath the surface. Its mouth is stitched partially shut with the same black thread you saw before, but through the seams, faint whispers leak, multiple voices speaking all at once. It tilts its head, mimicking your movement. Then, with a wet snap, it tears the stitches open and screams. The sound hits you like a physical blow. It isn't just noise, it's memory. You see flashes again, too fast to process a bed, a bell, a scalpel gleaming in white light, a voice saying, "Subject 36 will retain awareness during the procedure." You fall to your knees, hands clutching your head. The scream grows higher, breaking the air, cracking the frost on the ceiling. You shout, "Stop!" It does. The silence that follows feels worse. You raise your head. The figure now stands perfectly still, its mouth still open but quiet. The eyes stare at you, not hateful, not pleading, just tired. You whisper, "What do you want from me?" It points to the wall. There, under layers of frost, a phrase has been carved deep into the metal. You scrape the ice away with your hand, revealing the words. "You are the experiment?" You whisper, "No, that's not true." The thing that looks like you steps closer, shaking its head slowly, like a teacher correcting a child. He made you to remember him, to keep him alive. You shake your head violently. You're lying. The figure raises one trembling hand and presses its palm to your chest. It's ice cold, but you feel a warmth behind it familiar, steady, rhythmic, a heartbeat, not yours. "Where do you think it came from?" It whispers. You push away, stumbling backward, tripping over a fallen tray. The sound of metal crashing echoes through the room, and suddenly, every body on the floor jerks once. Their mouths open at the same time, and they scream. Hundreds of overlapping voices, filling the air with pain and memory, until it becomes something beyond hearing. You drop the flashlight. It rolls away, flickering across a wall now covered in shadows that move when the bodies don't. You shout, "Please stop." The curtain behind you shifts again. Through it, you see another figure, this one smaller, wearing a white coat. The doctor, standing perfectly still. He raises a finger to his lips. "Shh." Instantly, the screaming ceases. The room is deathly still. You whisper, "What have you done to them?" He doesn't answer. He only looks at you, and then gestures toward the morgue door. The frost melts away, unlocking it. You whisper, "You want me to go?" He nods once. You step toward the door, one cautious step at a time. But as you reach it, the doctor's voice drifts softly through the air. Every echo needs a chamber to live in. You pause, turning slowly. He's gone. The morgue is empty again. The curtain lies still on the floor. Only one sound remains, the faint rhythmic beep of a heart monitor. Steady and slow. You look down, the cord of the monitor trails to your own chest. Your heart. You rip the cord free, stumbling back, gasping. The monitor flatlines with a long, unbroken tone. And yet, you're still breathing. You whisper, "If that wasn't mine, whose was it?" From the broken curtain, the stitched version of yourself answers, softly, with your own voice. "Ours." Then the lights go out. The darkness this time is absolute, not a power failure, not a shadow, but a deliberate silence, heavy and deliberate, as if the building itself is holding its breath. You can still feel the faint vibration of the hospital underneath your boots, like a living thing with a slow, patient pulse. You whisper, "I know you're still here, doctor." A faint crackle answers the static hum of an old speaker warming up. Then, the sound of an audio reel turning. Click, hiss. A man's voice filters through, calm, tired, worn by years of speaking only to himself. "This is Dr. Ivan Lobanov. Research log, day 197. The experiment continues without approval, without oversight, without mercy." You freeze. The voice sounds closer than it should. The speaker is somewhere behind you, but the words echo from inside the walls. "We wanted to preserve the human soul," the doctor continues, "but we found that the soul is not static. It echoes, it looks for itself, and when it can't find its body, it takes the nearest one available." You whisper, "That's what you did to me?" The reel keeps turning. Subject 36 achieved synchronization with the observer within 12 minutes. Full identity overlap at 18. Memory bleed recorded. My voice in his head. His heartbeat in my chest. You close your eyes, pressing your hand to your chest. Your pulse beats hard, as if it's trying to match another rhythm beneath it. The voice cracks slightly, softer now. "If you hear this, you've survived the transfer. I don't know who you are anymore. I don't know which of us is left, but you are both." You whisper, "No, I'm real. You're the echo. The speaker hisses louder, and the voice responds, but now it sounds fractured, the same sentence repeating, slightly distorted each time, as though two people are talking at once. No, you're the echo. No, you're the echo. You shout, stop. The reel halts with a violent click. Silence. Then, the sound of footsteps measured, slow approaching from the hall. You raise your flashlight. The beam catches a shape, a figure in a lab coat, walking toward you through the frost. His face is mostly hidden in shadow, but the glasses catch the light. Doctor, you whisper. He stops a few meters away. You shouldn't have opened the files. I had to know. His expression doesn't change. Knowledge doesn't make you human. Memory does. You take a step forward, then whose memories are these? He sighs softly. Ours. You shake your head. You said you wanted to preserve consciousness. Why use me? He gestures toward the wall, and a faint light flickers on. Behind glass panels are hundreds of brain scans, each labeled with different dates. One of them bears your name, or at least what used to be yours. Observer 36, memory host candidate. You whisper, you recorded me. He nods, you volunteered. No, you say, shaking your head, I came here for answers, not to. You came here, he interrupts, because I called you. The words sink in like ice. You remember the first sound you heard when you entered this place, the whistle. You thought it was the wind. It wasn't. He continues, you heard the tone, the frequency embedded in the bell. It activates the host. The echo follows it home. You step backward, home. This place isn't home. The doctor takes a slow step forward. It is now. You grip the flashlight tighter. If you're really him, prove it. Tell me something only he would know. He smiles faintly. You were the first to die in this hospital. The first to be brought back. The first to forget. You whisper, that's not true. He gestures again, and the lights on the opposite wall flare to life, revealing a long glass tank. Inside floats a body yours. The same coat, the same face. Pale and still beneath the surface, the doctor's voice softens. It's been years since you stopped breathing, but you never stopped speaking. Your knees weaken, the air seems thinner, colder than what am I now? He tilts his head slightly. A question. An unfinished thought that refuses to die. You whisper, then finish it. He chuckles, not cruelly, but sadly, I can't. You're the only one who still can. He turns toward a console at the edge of the room. The monitors flicker to life, displaying overlapping sound waves, voice patterns, heart rates all identical. Your voice, his voice, repeating the same words at different intervals. He listens, he remembers, he wakes. The doctor looks at you, his glasses reflecting the pulse of the monitors. Do you hear it? You listen. Beneath the hum of the machines, there's a faint, steady rhythm, a heartbeat. Not yours, not his, but something deeper, like the sound of the hospital itself, breathing. You whisper, what is that? He answers softly. The echo chamber. The memory loop. It keeps us alive. You shake your head, no, it keeps us trapped. He pauses. For the first time, his voice wavers. Maybe that's the same thing. You take a step closer, your reflection joining his in the glass tank. Then tell me the truth. Why me? He doesn't look at you because you wouldn't stop asking questions. The reel-to-reel recorder starts again on its own. The same voice repeats, distant, weary. This is Dr. Ivan Lobanov. I am beginning transfer sequence 36. If it works, I'll see you soon. The lights flicker once more. When they return, the doctor is gone. Only the tape keeps turning, and in the static, your own voice whispers, I told you we'd meet again. The tape stops. The silence that follows feels thick enough to drown in. You stand alone in the flickering light of the laboratory, staring at the empty spot where Dr. Lobanov stood only seconds ago. His voice lingers in your mind like an echo that refuses to fade. You whisper at the last patient, "That's me, isn't it?" The machine beside the glass tank beeps. Once bonding, as if in answer, then, slowly, the surface of the water begins to ripple. The shape inside the body that looks exactly like you shifts ever so slightly, a faint twitch in one finger. You back away, eyes wide. No, stay asleep. The ripples still. The room falls silent again. Then the lights dim, one by one, until only the tank remains illuminated. The pale blue glow reflects across the frost-covered floor, throwing strange, liquid shadows against the walls. For a brief moment, you see shapes in the glass figures, watching from within the reflection. The nurse without eyes, the stitched shadow, the faces of the frozen patients, all standing behind you, silent, waiting. You whisper, "You're not real," but one of them answers softly, "Neither are you." You turn, but there's no one there. The reflections vanish as quickly as they appeared. Only your reflection remains, trembling faintly on the glass. You whisper to it, "If I'm not real, then who's been walking all this time?" The reflection smiles. "It isn't you." You step back. "No." A voice answers from inside the tank, your own voice, distorted by water, slow and melodic. "You walked so I could rest." You stare in disbelief. "You're the real one. We were the same once. He split us to prove that thought can outlive flesh. You are the thought." You whisper, "Then what happens to me when you wake up?" The reflection opens its eyes. You fade. The monitors begin to pulse again. The line on the heart monitor, which had long been flat, suddenly spikes into rhythm. Beep, beep, beep. You clutch your chest. Your heartbeat falters, struggling to match it. "No, I won't go back." "It's not up to you," the voice in the tank replies gently. "He built us to return." The water churns violently, bubbles swirling as the body rises slowly toward the surface. The glass creaks under the pressure. You run to the console, slamming the buttons, searching for any control, any stop switch, but every key has been removed. The intercom crackles to life, the doctor's voice, calm and distant. "Termination sequence active, post-reintegration in progress." You shout, "Stop it, you'll kill me." There's no you without him. The glass fractures with a loud crack. Water spills out, cascading across the floor, freezing instantly as it touches the metal. You stumble backward, slipping on the ice. When you look up, the body is standing in the broken tank, drenched, its movements slow and heavy, like someone waking from a long sleep. It steps out, barefoot, water dripping from its fingers. Its eyes are gray, the same as the doctor's, and for a moment, it's impossible to tell where one of you ends and the other begins. You whisper, "What are you?" It tilts its head slightly, smiling. "What's left?" The lights flicker. You see two shadows cast against the wall, yours and his, and then slowly they merge into one. The figure takes another step toward you. "Do you remember the bell?" You nod slowly. "I heard it." He gestures toward the far wall. A brass bell sits there, small and simple, like the one tied to the bed frame. He used it to wake me, to bring me back. It works both ways. You whisper, "What happens if I ring it?" His voice lowers. "Then you wake up, but I sleep." You stare at him, realization sinking deep. So only one of us survives. He nods once. The doctor didn't want both. You walk toward the bell, each step echoing through the frozen room. Your fingers hover above it. The metal is dull, but the string tied around it is new, fresh, unfrayed, as if someone placed it there just for you. The reflection, your reflection, watches silently. Its lips move without sound, but you can read the words. "Do it," you whispered. "I don't know if I want to." It smiles faintly. "That's why it has to be you." You take a deep breath. "If I wake up, what happens to all of this?" He answers softly. "We go quiet." You close your eyes. The key in your pocket burns against your thigh. The bell waits. You whisper, "I'm sorry." You lift the bell by its frayed string and ring it once. The sound is small, fragile, just a single chime. But it spreads, echoing through the room, through the halls, through the very air. The frost on the walls cracks and melts. The lights burst into life. And for a heartbeat, you see everything. The nurse smiling faintly, bandages fluttering in a warm draft, the stitched shadow dissolving into mist, the frozen patients turning their heads toward the light, and the doctor standing in the doorway, proud and broken. Then the world begins to fade. The last thing you see is the other you still standing where the tank once was. He whispers something you almost can't hear. "Rest now, you've been walking long enough." The light fades to white, the hum stops. For a moment, there's nothing. Then, faintly, you hear a new sound, soft, steady, alive. Beep. 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 The beeping fades into the distance like a dream retreating behind your eyelids. For a moment, you feel weightless, neither standing nor lying down, neither cold nor warm, just suspended in something vast and quiet. Then the stillness breaks. A rumble, soft at first, like thunder buried beneath snow, then louder, deeper. The ground beneath you trembles. The frost on the walls cracks. And from far away, something groans, the sound of an ancient building remembering that it was never meant to live forever. You open your eyes. You're back in the ward. The long rows of metal beds stretch endlessly on both sides. But now the lights overhead flicker violently. Dust falls in thin veils from the ceiling, each tremor sending new showers of plaster snow into the air. You whisper, "It's collapsing." The bell from earlier lies on the floor near your feet, rolling lazily in circles. You kneel, pick it up, and hold it tight, a small, fragile thing in a dying world. The air's thick with smoke and frost. Somewhere behind you, you hear a door slam, then another. One by one, the hospital begins closing its own rooms, sealing itself off. You start walking toward the exit, though you're not sure where it is anymore. The corridors twist and change, shifting like veins inside a living organism. Every few steps, you catch glimpses of faces in the glass. The nurse, the doctor, the shadow, each watching silently as the walls crumble. You whisper, "I set you free." A faint voice answers hundreds of voices blending into one. Freedom is a word, not an ending. You turn into another hallway. The air here is warmer, filled with the scent of old dust and burnt paper. On the floor lie files and photographs, thousands of them fluttering in the draft that now sweeps through the corridor. You recognize them all. Each face, each name, every subject 36. You whisper, "All of you were me, and none of us were enough." The whisper answers. The building groans louder. A light fixture crashes from the ceiling, shattering inches from your boots. The glass scatters like ice. Beyond it, You see a red glow, the emergency lights flickering in and out, guiding you forward. You follow. Each room you pass is collapsing in its own way. The library burns slowly, the flames moving backward, pages turning from ash to paper, from paper to blank. A surgery room rewinds itself, scalpels floating back to trays, blood returning to veins, the clock spinning in reverse. Time itself is retreating, unmaking what it remembers. You step into the main ward, the same room where you first saw the bell. It's empty now, except for the faint shimmer of heat in the air. The beds are gone. The floor is cracked open, revealing a deep void beneath a hollow space, glowing faintly blue, like the memory of frozen water. You whisper, "This is where it ends." A figure stands on the other side of the void. The doctor, or what's left of him. His outline flickers between light and shadow, his features half erased. He looks at you, voice trembling with exhaustion. The building's heart is collapsing. The echo can't sustain itself without you. You tighten your grip on the bell, then let it die. He shakes his head. If it dies, so do you. Maybe that's the point. He takes a slow step forward, the tiles beneath him breaking with each movement. You don't understand. If you vanish, the world forgets what happened here. No one will ever know what we did. You whisper, and then maybe forgetting his mercy. The doctor stops. For the first time, his face softens. Not anger, not fear, just grief. We wanted to cheat death, but all we made was memory, endless, empty memory. You look down at the void. Inside it, you see faint reflections, not water, not glass, but moments. The faces of those who were trapped here, the echo of your own scream, the first sound that started it all. The doctor whispers, "If you ring the bell again, everything resets. The experiment begins anew. You'll live again, and so will I. The hospital will rebuild itself around the echo." You whisper, "And if I don't?" He looks toward the ceiling as the walls crack wider. Then it all ends. No one wakes up again. Not even the dead. The rumbling deepens, dust fills the air, the floor buckles beneath you. You raise the bell, feeling its cold weight in your palm. It vibrates faintly, sensing your hesitation. The doctor's voice is almost pleading, "We can fix it this time, we can make it right." You whisper, "You said that last time." The ceiling caves in, the entire ward shuddering under the weight of its own memories. The doctor reaches toward you across the gap, shouting, "Ring it." You look at him, this ghost, this echo, this reflection of the man who doomed you, and shake your head. No more. You drop the bell into the void. It falls silently for what feels like forever. Then, faintly, one last sound rises from the depths, a single, perfect cling. The entire building exhales. The lights burst, flooding the ward with blinding white. The walls shatter like glass, dissolving into light and snow. The doctor's face fades with the rest of it, mouthing something you can't hear, and then silence. When you open your eyes, there's no hospital, no walls, no floor, only snow, stretching endlessly beneath a pale sky. You stand alone, barefoot, the bell nowhere to be seen. In the distance, a faint hum rolls across the horizon, not mechanical this time, but natural. The sound of wind across an empty field. You whisper softly, "Is this what peace sounds like?" The air answers only with quiet. You take one step forward. The snow doesn't crunch beneath you. It accepts you, softly, like a long-forgotten memory finally allowed to rest. The world is white, endless, weightless white. Snow drifts in slow spirals through the air. but there's no wind to carry it. It's as if gravity itself has grown tired. You stand there for a long time, unsure if you're breathing or just remembering how it feels to breathe. Your fingers ache with cold. When you look down, the skin is pale blue, faint light pulsing under it like veins full of static. You whisper to yourself, "This isn't real snow." A whisper answers, carried by nothing but still air. It never was. You turn. There's no one there, just footprints. Not yours. Fresh, crisp, leading away from you into the distance. The same boots you saw in the hospital corridors, half frozen into the dust. You whisper, "Doctor." No answer, but the footprints shift slightly, filling with light as though they want you to follow. You start walking. The snow hums faintly under each step, like a distant heartbeat buried beneath the ground. The horizon never gets closer, son, but the footprints remain always just a few steps ahead. After a while, you notice something else. The air is alive with sound. A low, steady wind that doesn't move the snow. You whisper, "Is that the storm?" "It's what's left of one." The voice drifts around you, calm and even, like someone speaking from behind glass. You stop walking. Where are you? Everywhere the snow falls. You squint through the haze. A figure is emerging from the white, tall, lean, coat flapping gently. The doctor. His outline blurs at the edges, dissolving into the wind as he steps closer. "You're not real," you whisper. He smiles faintly. Neither was the hospital. But that didn't stop it from keeping you. You take a step back. "You died." He tilts his head. "Oh, no one ever dies in an echo. We just change frequency." The snow begins to swirl faster now. Faint shapes forming within it, faces, outlines, the memory of bodies moving without sound. They circle the two of you like ghosts made of light. The doctor looks up at them. "They followed you out." You whisper, "I set them free." "Free?" His voice sharpens just a little. "You collapsed their cage, but they still have nowhere to go." You look around. The ghosts drift aimlessly, dissolving and reforming, whispering fragments of words, some in Russian, some in English, some in nothing at all. "Return, still cold, find me." You whisper, "What do they want?" The doctor's eyes soften. They want what everyone trapped in memory wants to be forgotten completely. To end. You feel the weight of his words, and He hesitates, then quietly. "I wanted to see if the soul could outlast its silence. Now I know it can, but I didn't expect it to be so lonely." The snow thickens. Wind rises at last, whispering across the empty plain like something breathing its last. You clutch your arms around yourself, shivering. If I'm an echo, why do I still feel? He smiles faintly, because you haven't let go yet. The storm grows stronger. The world around you fades into a blur of gray and white. The doctor's outline flickers, breaking apart into streaks of light. You shout over the rising wind, "What happens now?" His voice comes softer, carried on the storm. You have to choose what kind of silence to leave behind. You whisper, "Silence." He nods once, fading. Either the silence of peace or the silence of forgetting. The wind howls, fierce and cold. The snow becomes blinding, erasing everything: the sky, the ground, the horizon. You close your eyes. For a moment, it feels like falling. When you open them again, you're kneeling in the snow, alone. The doctor is gone. Only his footprints remain, glowing faintly before the wind takes them too. The silence that follows is complete. Then a sound. Soft, rhythmic, gentle. Not a bell, not a whistle. A heartbeat. Not from your chest. From the snow beneath you. You press your hand into it. The ground pulses softly, once, twice, like the world itself is alive. You whisper, you're still here. Always, the wind answers. The storm begins to calm. The snow falls slower, quieter. The sky lightens to a dull silver. And for the first time, you can see the faint outline of something ahead, not a building, not a grave, but a doorway made of light, hovering just above the horizon. You take a slow breath. One last door, huh? The wind hums faintly in response, a sound like a whispering laugh. You stand, brushing frost from your coat. All right then. Doctor, let's see what's on the other side. You start walking again, the snow parting quietly under your steps. Behind you, the storm closes, erasing your footprints, your shadow, and your name. Only the whisper of the snow remains. And then, silence. The snow hums under your feet. You don't know how long you've been walking, maybe hours, maybe days. The sky hasn't changed. It's still that endless gray, a soft void stretching forever. The light ahead grows brighter. The shimmering doorway pulling you closer with every step. But something changes. A sound cuts through the quiet. Soft at first, a rhythmic metallic tap, like a heartbeat. Then you realize, not a heartbeat, a stethoscope. You stop walking. The tapping continues, perfectly measured, coming from somewhere inside the snow beneath you. You kneel, pressing your ear against the surface. Thump, 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 thump. Steady, patient. The pulse of something still alive. You whisper, "Doctor." The sound stops, then, from somewhere very close, a whisper answers, faint but familiar. "I never stopped listening." You look around, but the horizon remains empty. Then, right beside you, a black cord begins to rise from the snow, long and thin, curling like a living vine. At its end dangles the cold silver disc of a stethoscope. You stare at it. You kept it. The voice answers, distant but close, swoosh, like speaking through a heartbeat. It's how I heard you dream. You reach out and pick it up. The metal is freezing against your skin, vibrating slightly alive with sound. You lift it toward your ear. At first, only static. Then, beneath the noise, you hear breathing slow, deep, steady. Not yours. Not the doctor's. Something larger. You whisper, "What is that?" The hospital, the voice says, "It's still breathing." You pull the stethoscope away, trembling. "I destroyed it." You silenced it. The voice corrects. But silence is not death. It listens now, through you. You close your eyes, shaking your head. No, no, I'm done being your echo. The wind begins to rise again, swirling snow around your legs. The stethoscope's tubing coils like a snake, tightening in your hand. The voice grows clearer, surrounding you. You came this far because you couldn't let it go. Because you still want to know. You whispered, "Know what?" Who woke you? The world darkens. The snow shifts beneath you, forming shapes, faint outlines of the hospital floors, the wards, the hallways, the morgue, the bell, the cryotanks, all appearing for a heartbeat before fading back into the white. And there at the center of it, a single hospital bed. You walk toward it, each step echoing softly. On the bed lies a figure under white sheets, perfectly still. You already know what you'll see before you pull the cover back. It's you! But younger, unscarred, peaceful. You whisper, "That's when it started. You were dying." The doctor's voice murmurs from the stethoscope. "We tried to preserve you." The body failed, but the voice survived. You look down at your own reflection in the silver disc. It ripples slightly. "So I'm just a voice?" A ghost in a recording. More than that, you are the memory of the sound itself. The moment before silence. You lift the stethoscope again. The heartbeat has changed faster now, uneven. He's waking, the voice says softly. Who you whisper. The one you used to be. The bed trembles. The body beneath the sheet inhales long, slow. The first breath after eternity. You stumble backward, eyes wide. No, you whisper, don't wake him. The voice hardens. You wanted truth, that's the cost. The heartbeats grow louder, faster. The snow trembles with each one. Cracks, spidering across the white plain. The bed glows faintly beneath the sheet. You shout, stop. Listen, the voice whispers. Every breath he takes, you fade. You press your hands to your ears. But the sound isn't outside, it's inside you. The rhythm shakes your bones, rattles your thoughts. The stethoscope slips from your fingers, landing in the snow with a dull thud. Instantly, the heartbeat stops. Silence. You breathe out, trembling. Then faintly a different sound rises. A whisper so soft it barely exists. You can't kill what listens. The stethoscope twitches in the snow. Slowly, deliberately, it begins to move toward you. You back away. Stay where you are. It wants to hear you, the voice says. You turn to run. The snow clings to your boots like hands pulling you down. Behind you, the stethoscope follows, dragging itself across the surface, the tubing stretching endlessly, whispering with every movement. Listen, listen, listen. You fall to your knees. The light ahead the doorway flickers like a dying star. The snow begins to rise, swirling into a spiral around you. The stethoscope slithers closer, its silver disc glinting in the light. Desperate, you shout, what do you want from me? The wind answers with the doctor's voice, but softer now, almost kind. To remember the sound of your heart before it stopped. The disc reaches you, resting gently against your chest. It's cold at first, then warm. You feel it a single heartbeat. Yours. Then another, and another. The snowstorm stills and the world grows quiet again. You open your eyes. The stethoscope lies motionless on your chest, the tubing coiled like a sleeping serpent. The sky above you glows faintly pink dawn. You whisper, I'm still here. For now, the wind answers. You lie back, staring into the pale light. The snow around you begins to melt, revealing the cracked tiles of a hospital floor beneath. You whisper, then I guess I never left. The wind sighs one last time, not in words, just a sound, the same one that began this journey. A slow, rhythmic hum, and then silence. You lie there for what feels like hours, watching the faint colors of dawn bleed slowly across the horizon. The stethoscope rests on your chest, perfectly still now, but still faintly warm as though it's waiting for one last heartbeat to decide what happens next. You whisper, is this what waking feels like? No answer, only the steady hush of the wind, whispering over the snow. You sit up slowly. The light ahead, the one you thought was a doorway, has changed. It no longer glows harsh and cold. Now it pulses softly, a gentle radiance that seems to breathe in rhythm with you. You whisper, you're still calling me. A faint sound answers metal scraping on stone. You glance down and see the key again, half buried in melting snow. Its surface glints faintly, marked now with new letters you don't remember, exit 36. You hold it up. Exit, you whisper, is that what this is? The ground beneath you rumbles faintly, like a door unlocking deep underground. The snow around your boots shifts, exposing fragments of tile hospital flooring, then more, spreading outward like veins. The world of snow begins to fade, replaced once again by the cold steel corridors you thought you'd escaped. You whisper, "No, not again." The wind answers, not as words, but as the faint sound of applause. Slow, hollow, mocking. Clap, clap, clap. You turn sharply. The doctor stands behind you, or what's left of him. His lab coat is torn, eyes sunken, the edges of his body fading into static. Each time he moves, pieces of him blur and reappear a fraction of a second later. He smiles faintly. You made it further than any of them. You whisper, "How many were there?" He looks upward, as if counting constellations you can't see. 35, before you, 36. You murmur. He nods. The final iteration, the perfect echo. You laugh bitterly. Perfect. I destroyed your lab. I broke your experiment. The doctor's smile deepens. Exactly, you completed it. He steps closer, the static around him flaring brighter. The loop had to end. It needed someone to reject the system completely, to choose silence over survival. You think you escaped, but all you did was finish my sentence. You whisper, "Sentence." He gestures toward the glowing doorway, the one you began when you first rang the bell. The light pulses faster now, drawing shadows toward it. The walls around you dissolve into whiteness again, until only the doctor and the door remain. You ask softly, "What's through there?" His answer comes as a whisper, "Your heartbeat?" You hesitate. You mean my real body? He shakes his head. Whatever's left of it, or whoever wears it now. The door hums. Inside it's light. You can almost see shapes moving hallways. Beds. Faint outlines of monitors blinking green. You hear a voice, distant but clear, calling through the light. Subject 36, responsive, brain activity returning. You whisper, "That's me." The doctor watches you quietly. You can go back, rejoin the body. You'll wake in the world that forgot this place ever existed. No one will remember me, or them, or the hospital. You'll breathe again. You clutch the key. "And if I stay?" He looks away, then we vanish together. The silence wins. The light flickers. The voice from the doorway repeats. Louder this time. He's waking up. You whispered, "You said I was the echo." The doctor nods. "You were..." But echoes learn. They evolve. They become new voices. The choice is yours now. The air ripples with tension. The snow under your feet melts completely, revealing black water beneath. The door ahead widens, its glow spilling across the ground like sunrise. You take one step forward. The warmth hits your face soft, human warmth. You can smell disinfectant, hear distant machines, the muffled chaos of people moving on the other side. The doctor speaks again, his voice faint. "If you cross, you'll forget me." You whisper, "Maybe that's mercy." He chuckles softly. "Maybe. But if you remember me even for a moment, and I'll still exist." You look back at him. The static has spread to his face, his form dissolving in the glow. "Goodbye, Doctor." He smiles faintly. "Good morning." Subject 36. You step forward. The doorway expands, swallowing everything: the snow, the silence, the doctor. Light floods your vision until all you can see is white. Then, faintly, you hear a sound you haven't heard in so long you almost don't recognize it. Air filling lungs, the steady beep of a monitor, and someone saying, "He's awake." You open your eyes. Fluorescent lights, a hospital ceiling. The smell of antiseptic. Your fingers twitch. You whisper, "Where am I?" A nurse's voice answers softly from beside the bed. "You're safe now. Just rest." You blink slowly. Her voice is kind, warm, familiar. You turn your head weakly and see her bandaged eyes. Your breath catches. She smiles. "Don't be afraid. The doctor will see you soon. The monitor beside you spikes, and the bell somewhere just beyond the curtain rings once. Cling! The bell's sound lingers in the air long after it stops ringing. Soft, pure. The kind of sound that belongs to the living. You lie still, staring at the ceiling. The sterile white light buzzes faintly above you, steady and mechanical, too perfect to be real. You whisper, "I came back." The air doesn't answer, but your heartbeat does. It's slow, heavy, uncertain, a rhythm trying to remember itself. Your lungs ache with each breath, but the pain feels sacred, almost holy. You are alive. Then you hear it. Footsteps, slow, confident, familiar. The curtain at the end of your bed stirs. From behind it, a man's voice speaks quietly, calm, precise. "Welcome back?" You freeze. You know that voice. The curtain slides open. Dr. Lobanov stands there, immaculate in his white coat, stethoscope glinting at his collar. No static now. No distortion. Just a man, solid and real, smiling faintly as if nothing has happened. You whisper, "You're supposed to be gone." He tilts his head slightly. "Gone? You mean dead?" "No, my friend. I am exactly where I have always been." You struggle to sit up. The hospital collapsed. I saw it fall. He chuckles softly. Buildings fall, ideas do not. He steps closer, pulling a small brass bell from his pocket. It's the same one, the one you dropped into the void. The string still frayed, the metal slightly dented. He sets it gently on your bedside table, clinging. The sound trembles through you like a pulse of memory. You carried the experiment further than anyone. He says, "And for that, you brought us back." You whisper, "Us." The nurse enters quietly from behind him, hands folded neatly in front of her. Her bandages are fresh, pure white this time. She smiles without speaking. Dr. Lobanov nods toward her. She's here. The others, too. Some of them only in fragments. But thanks to you, the Echo has a new host. You stare at him, trembling. What host? He gestures and you realize he's pointing at you. Your body rejected the soul once, he explains calmly. But now, it accepts the recording. You're the bridge, the vessel between the dead and the memory of life. You whisper, no, I ended this, I chose silence." His eyes gleam with quiet admiration. And yet, here you are, awake again. Do you know what that means? You don't answer? He smiles. The Echo prefers you. It needs a voice to live in. And yours was strong enough to carry it through collapse, snow, and death itself. The nurse steps closer, her whisper soft as breath. He hears them, "Doctor?" Lobanov nods. Of course he does. He always did. You close your eyes and the room fills with sound. Faint whispers crowding the edges of your mind. The stitched shadow. The frozen patients. The ones beneath the ice. All of them murmuring through you now. Carried in every breath you take. Stay, remember, speak for us. You press your hands to your ears and make it stop. The doctor watches calmly. It can't stop. Not unless someone rings the bell. You stare at the bell on the table, small, silent, harmless. He continues, "You know what it does, Yoshiki. It resets everything, isn't it? You'll fall asleep again, and when you wake, you'll start over the same corridors, the same rooms, the same silence, over and over, until one of you learns to forget." You whisper, "And if I don't ring it?" His smile fades. Then the hospital stays inside you. Every echo, every voice, every heartbeat. You look at the nurse. She nods slowly. as if she already knows what you'll do. Her whisper is gentle, almost kind. It hurts less the second time. You take a long, trembling breath. Your hand reaches toward the bell, hesitating inches from the string. Will I remember, you whisper? Lobanov's expression softens. No one ever does. That's why it works. You close your eyes and the whispers rise around you, pleading, desperate, loving, hateful, all at once. You whisper, then this time, let it be the last. You lift the bell by its string and ring it once. The sound fills the room. It echoes through the walls, through the air, through your bones. The lights flicker. The nurse exhales softly. The doctor's smile fades as the sound deepens lower, slower, turning into something ancient, something that sounds less like metal and more like a heartbeat slowing down. The world dims. You whisper one last time, good night. The bell's final note stretches into silence. The monitor flatlines. The doctor lowers his head. The nurse turns off the light. And for the first time since the experiment began, the hospital is truly quiet. No echoes, no voices, only rest. Snow drifts softly against the window. The world outside the ward is quiet, bathed in a pale blue dawn. It could be anywhere, anytime. You lie still beneath clean sheets, the faint scent of antiseptic surrounding you. Machines hum gently beside your bed, but they no longer measure anything. They only hum out of habit, like old memories refusing to fade. You turn your head slightly. The bell still rests on the table, untouched now, silent. For a moment, you almost expect it to move again, to tremble, to whisper your name, but it doesn't. It just sits there in the still air, gleaming faintly in the morning light. Somewhere down the hall, a door opens and closes softly. A nurse hums under her breath. The tune is faint, lilting, familiar, a lullaby you remember from the snow, though you've never heard it before. Sleep, little echo, the voice hums. Sleep, till the world forgets your name. You close your eyes. The hum joins the steady rhythm of your breathing, blending with the soft pulse in your chest. The air is warm, gentle. The hospital doesn't breathe anymore, but you do. You think of the doctor, his face dissolving into static, his final smile. You think of the nurse, her quiet compassion behind the bandages. You think of all the voices that once filled the halls, now fading one by one into quiet. The silence that remains isn't empty, it's peaceful. Outside, the wind rises again. It brushes against the window like a slow heartbeat, like fingers trailing across glass in farewell. You whisper into the stillness, voice barely audible. Rest now. And as your eyes grow heavy, you realize the truth. There was never a curse, never an experiment that truly failed. There was only the sound of one man trying to stop forgetting, and one echo that finally learned how to let go. The light outside softens. The hum fades. The bell remains still. And somewhere far away, or perhaps very close, a single heartbeat slows, then joins the silence.